So I don't know about you, but I'm kind of sick of seeing articles online that tell me that I'm supposed to be a storyteller, that is the way that you should write engaging web copy, that's the way we should engage with people as marketers. I never really got it. I don't know about you, but what does that even mean? I get why it's important to tell stories and the power of stories, right? We're biologically programmed to pay attention to stories. They're all tied up with the need to survive back in, Neanderthal days. So we remember stories. They stick in our minds, which makes them good from a storytelling, a writing, a marketing point of view. Also, a story does humanize us. If we tell a story to someone else, we're telling a little bit of ourselves, we're making a connection with other people. And of course, that's really good from a sales and conversion rate point of view. And also it helps our customers maybe to imagine them being a part of the story. But what does all of that actually mean? How do we tell a story? What does that look like in the copy that we create? Well, as far as I see it, I think there are kind of 4 types of stories that we can be telling on our websites and in our marketing material. The first is we can tell the story of our company. Now, I don't mean go through the history of it and all of those kinds of things like you get on really boring about us pages. What I mean is those nuggets that connect with people, that humanize your company, that make it more than just a conglomeration. Take, for example, Apple. We all know that our Apple started in a suburban garage. Marks and Spencer's here in the UK is another great example of that. Most people know that huge retail chain started with a barrow boy, out with his stall that went to markets and that kind of thing. And that's how it began. So you can tell the story of your company, how it came about, what it stands for, what problem it was solving, that kind of thing. The other thing you can do is tell the story of your products. Kickstarter is great for this. If you watch a few Kickstarter videos, you'll know what I mean about telling the story of your products, where they describe what needs they found, how they went about creating the product, the fact that it took so many years, that they built all of these prototypes, that they tried this and they tried that. And there's the story of the journey of producing the product. Apple's quite good at this as well. Every time they launch a new product with a new piece of technology or a new innovation involved, you get a video with Johnny Ives talking over the top of it about the journey they went on and the discoveries that they made to produce the products. But if I'm honest, you might be able to pick up on this. I'm a little bit cynical about those two. I think they've got a place, but there are 2 other types of storytelling that personally I much prefer. My favorite is to talk about your people, talk about your employees, what they do, humanize your company, put people into your brand. I once did this when we were selling frozen ready meals. And we decided to tell the story of some of the staff members, like the chef and the people that created the meals. But then we told the story of a Polish guy called Alexander. And Alexander worked in the factory where all the food was produced and then stored. And the whole thing happened at like -20 degrees. So he worked all day at -20 degrees. And we did a little video interview with him, and he's, a very jolly guy. He's very upbeat. He's very personable, and he talked about how he doesn't mind working at -20 all day. Now that was a compelling story that really connected with audiences. And actually Alexander got, well, fan mail, for want of a better word. But you could do this in all kinds of situations and in all kinds of ways. Another great example of that was back in the day when everybody hated Microsoft within the web development community because they hadn't updated Internet Explorer. And a group of developers just decided off their own bat really to start a blog, a group of developers within Microsoft, where they created little videos about their job and what they were doing and the struggles they felt. And suddenly it was much harder to hate on Microsoft because you discovered there's real people behind that company with real stories and real challenges. So you can tell the story of your people. And then the last thing you can do is tell the story of your customers, right? The customer as they engage with you, but also just the customer and what they do. Media Temple do a really great job of this. They've got a whole load of stories on their website that's not really, doesn't mention their products or services at all. It talks about their customers, talks about the amazing things that those customers are doing. And of course, by extension, that reflects well on Media Temple's brand without necessarily having to force the point home. So storytelling can be really powerful, and it's certainly something that we should be using, but I think we really need to find what best storytelling mechanism works for us, right? You know, you can't manufacture a really compelling story about your history, right? Otherwise, you know, if you haven't got an interesting company story, you haven't got an interesting company story. There's nothing you can do about that. The same is true with products. But you will have interesting clients and you will have interesting stories about your members of staff. So find the stories in your organization and share them online. You'll be amazed at how much they resonate with people.